It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning, welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 25th day of January 2022. I'm coming to you from on board the Freedom of the Seas on location, and I love it. I'm trying to bring you this with kind of iffy Wi-Fi, so I'm not sure if I can stream live. So I'm actually going to tape this and play it back as a live broadcast. So I may not be available for chats during the broadcast, but John will be with us and he'll take care over the chat room toward the end of it, I hope. So we'll see how this works out. Trying something new. All right, cruise ships sailing from North America ports today. Boy, there's not many, just one. Haven't seen that for a long time since the restart. And that's from Port Everglades. The Silver Spirit sails today. Headlines today, which we'll get to in a bit. The Genting Hong Kong CEO resigns. Man, we got something about them every day. Carnival Liberty officially sails from Port Canaveral. Chef Rudi takes on Princess also. Carnival Successful With Verifly. And my first day take on Freedom of the Seas. Don't come early. And lots more this morning live at 11 o'clock. If in fact you access this and listen to this via the podcast, we certainly welcome you on board as well. You can always find the podcast daily on my accessible blog, which is accessadventure.net. It's also available wherever you get your podcasts, like Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Pandora, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and you'll get the old fat guy. Now, I'm going to be posting some pictures from Freedom of the Seas on today's broadcast. We also have some photographs that I'm going to try to catch up on from Nikki and Roger out in the South Pacific when they were at Bora Bora the other day. So you might want to check the link in the description, folks, if you're listening on the podcast, and go over to the video side so you can keep up with the pictures that we're going to be taking a look at. So I'll be back with my take on the Freedom of the Seas the first day and news for the day after this word from our network sponsor.
And friends, it looks like Chillie froze right there at the network sponsor because his feed and his camera have dropped off. But he is on board the ship there, as you can see, and he had all of his pieces were taped here, but his feed to our platform dropped off right there. And so I don't even know what to tell you because we've been unable to talk this morning. His microphone didn't matter if it's on a laptop or on his telephone that he connects into the laptop to have that really good picture that he has now. Whatever it was that he was doing, we couldn't get any audio between us in any way, shape, or form. I'm seeing some of you come in here now, And thank you for joining us. But at the moment, we're going to wait just a little while here. I do not have, I don't think, let me see if he sent me a copy of, like I did yesterday. And no, he did not send it there. Let's look here. And he is not on Facebook. So we are just kind of shooting from the hip here, folks, other than to tell you that Chillie is out there. And hey, Carol, and hey, Nikki and Cindy Lee, and Travels with Lizzie. Hi. And Sharon, welcome. Chillie was on and the show was feeding from his place, but now he is not. So we're going to wait here just a little while to see if he can get back on. I'm kind of working Grand Central Station here for him, and we'll see if he comes back in. If not, we'll call it a day. But no. Oh, and Sharon's on Oasis of the Seas. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am actually in my living room today. As you can see here, the picture behind is from Schloss Charlottenburg, but it's mostly got sun on it, so you can't see it too well. See if we can get a side picture of it here with a little more cables. It doesn't really have that bright reflection on it. That's coming in from an outside window. Let's see if that's Chillie talking to me there. Is that just, he says, just went dead, go to 25th 2. Oh, I know what he's talking about. Let's see if we can make this work here. 25th 2. 25th 2. Here we go. Let's pick this up with Chillie here.
Yeah, thanks for that word from one of our sponsors. Back with today's news and my take on my first day on Freedom of the Seas. Don't get here early. That's the main thing. I had some issues yesterday, but they all relate back to the fact that I got here 3 hours too early. I made the mistake of flying in on the morning of a cruise and not doing something to waste time to get to the port for my appointment at, I think it was at 12:30. I landed at 8, went through the airport lickety split, grabbed a cab, came over here. I was probably on site by 8:30, 8:45, something like that. Way too early. So by the time I got into the area of, where you go inside the terminal building, I had to sit and wait. Now, yes, I had my walker, which has a chair. So I just set the bags off to the side, sat in the walker, and waited it out. But it was cold. I mentioned that. Then I got inside, and I had to wait some more. I didn't have issues with the port people like I thought would on getting me in the wheelchair and so forth. They just weren't ready. They were still, disembarking from the previous cruise. So they weren't ready for a new customer, so they couldn't. As soon as it was available, the gentleman that I was working with that had come by numerous times to give me an update on what was going on, grabbed a wheelchair, grabbed me, and boom, we went through. And we went in and through everything in a hurry. All the security, not near as bad as the airport security, but went through the security. But then I got inside and I couldn't go on the ship because they weren't bringing people on board yet. So then I had to wait further, sitting in the terminal, ready to go up the gangway. Well, when I finally got to the gangway, then it was a little after 12, and the rooms weren't ready. They said it was going to be at least 2 o'clock because they had to fumigate and do all the health protocols from the previous cruise. So they wheeled me up with luggage and the carry-ons and everything to the buffet and parked me there. That was the only place that I really had an issue, is they just parked me until it was after 2 o'clock before the rooms were ready. And I was able to get help, assistance to get down to the room so I could get my scooter. The scooter and the oxygen concentrator were in the cabin as they were supposed to be. I don't like that procedure that I couldn't get the scooter on in the terminal. That part I don't like. I don't know if that's not necessarily the fault of the Freedom of the Seas. It's not necessarily the fault of Royal Caribbean or the port. I'm not sure who's at fault on that one, but that's an issue that I'm definitely going to be looking at. Once I got back to my cabin, but of course everything was dead then. My computer was dead, my phone was dead. I took some time to get a little bit of a charge on it before I grabbed the scooter and took off and started exploring the ship. So I didn't get to do on the first day what I wanted to do, as far as maybe started to do some filming and so forth. I did have, I had a little lunch, which was very good in the buffet. I had a penne pasta with meat sauce. It was quite tasty, and I'll show you, here's a picture of that. And then I had some prime rib for dinner last night. I had a shrimp cocktail, a Caesar salad, prime rib, which was luscious, and some key lime pie, which was pretty good for dessert. So I had 2 really good meals yesterday. Now I had a couple of adult beverages along the way, but everything that was negative about the day was because I got there too early. So to avoid those issues, for sure, don't get to the port too early, folks. If they give you an appointment, gear so you get there for your appointment. I'll be back with another story after this.
Okay, I think we got this working. We're trying to get Chillie back, but he's got all of his pieces here, but I can't overlay the pictures of the food and stuff. That, like, he took a picture of his food and I was not able to lay that on there. Now he's trying to come back in. Let's see if we can hear him now. No. So we're ready for number 3. We're ready for piece number 3 right now.
And on with today's news. Carnival Liberty has resumed sailing from Port Canaveral after 22 months, with short cruises to the Bahamas from Central Florida. Depending on the itinerary, stops will include Nassau, Half Moon Cay, Freeport, Princess Keys, and Bimini. Carnival Cruise Line brought the ship back earlier than it had planned because of the Carnival Horizon Azipod propulsion issues, and had to go to the emergency dry dock. So they started Liberty up early, and along with Carnival Sunshine, to take care of the planned Horizon guests. So they kept going in December and January. But she has started going on her own officially from Port Canaveral. Virgin Voyages has announced that it's currently in the process of updating the cabins on 2 of the ships, Scarlet Lady and Valiant Lady. The refreshed interiors bring more of a natural, bright approach to the ultra-modern staterooms. You know, folks, I didn't say that. That's a PR guy writing that one. In a statement, the cruise line says it's bringing a warmer energy and more sophisticated feel to the guest rooms. Hopefully they're going to correct that storage issue. Remember some of the complaints? There was no place to put anything in the original rooms on Scarlet Lady. And they said, oh, that's because they're all short cruises. Yeah, well, no. Princess Cruise Line has announced that Chef Rudi Solomon will become its first head of culinary arts, effective immediately. Currently, Solomon is And on with today's news. Carnival Liberty has resumed. Recently, more calls have been canceled in Nassau and the Bahamas due to bad weather that came through the area rather than Omicron, COVID, or the number of cases on cruise ships. And this despite Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, and others canceling visits from cruise ships primarily because of Omicron. I bet you won't hear the mainstream media talking about that one, though, that, wow, here's a place that welcomes the cruise ships, but they had to cancel because of weather. And we can't seem to go a day without Genting, Hong Kong being in the news. Of course, that's with the Crystal Cruise Line fiasco. Chairman and CEO of Genting Hong Kong resigned. A clear sign that the once thriving cruise company is slowly but surely coming unraveled. Tan Sri Lim Kok Thay founded the company in 1993, gradually built it to be one of the most significant cruise operations in Europe and Asia. And it's done, folks. It's done. And finally today, in a story we unfortunately overlooked with all of yesterday's craziness, a 36-year-old crew member has passed away on the Norwegian Escape. The crew member had reportedly completed his 10-day COVID isolation, and one day after his release, he passed away. According to our source, the deceased crew member is of Indian descent, was working in the beverage department. The cause of the death is unknown at this time. That's going to wrap up the news this morning. Let's get over in the chat room, see who's with us.
To the stream. Okay, let's see if we've got there. Chillie can wave at us. He's there anyway. He can wave. Hey. All right. So we're just going to look down the chat room for a second, Chillie, and see who's been talking to us here. And then we're going to end the show kind of early today. We've got, let's see, Chillie's comments are interesting to me, Jack says, as I sail on the Adventure OTS from Galveston on February 23rd, he just printed his baggage tags. Sharon, she says the same with Oasis, only complaints from the people who got to the ship early, okay? Jack is liking your comments. Nikki, Jack, they're talking to each other. They're talking to each other, Chillie. They're not talking to us today, but that's all right. There's lots of chat room back and forth. And looking at the count today, we've had more people on today than we've ever had, Chillie. So they're tuning in to see you. I'm presuming that's your cabin in the back there. You're in your own room right there with yourself. And so, all righty. So I'm going to find the outro. Okay, Lizzie says, great seeing you. Keep them coming. Sharon says, they delayed boarding because of big charter group. I didn't board till 3-ish. They closed the buffet before many of us could get up there. 2,700 on the ship, including the crew. So that'd be a pretty light sailing then if there's about 1,000 crew, give or take, right? So that's pretty light on that. Amy, how does it feel to be back on board? Chillie is bouncing up and down like a little, yeah, look at that, look at that. And so those are those newses for today. Let me get back to the things here. And we are going to click out here with what he calls your end cut. Is that right, Chillie? Outro, news outro. Okay, news outro. Okay, hand signals. Anyway, say goodbye, everybody. Chillie is on his cruise tomorrow. We're going to do whatever it takes to get the audio working better, but we did it. We did not fail to have a show live from Freedom of the Seas with Chillie Falls. as he is on his first cruise of 2 years. And you can see by that smile on his face, that is not fake, ladies and gentlemen. That is alcohol driven. No, I'm kidding. It's fresh air and being on his scoot around and exploring the ship. And I'm sure he's met some new friends already. And this is just exciting time. So we'll see everybody tomorrow.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.